Welcome to the Sajdah Saturday Morning Coffee Talk, where we talk about life, love, and business. And today, I just want to give you some motivation so you can just hang in there. So many of us are struggling with so many things, and so we want to talk about that today. So September Treasures, welcome. Brother Lamont, welcome. Welcome everyone. Assalamu alaikum. Denise Renee, welcome. Rocks28X, welcome, welcome. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Jamil. Sister Tia, welcome. Come on in the room. We're going to talk today about just, assalamu alaikum, Sister Alita. We're going to talk today just about struggle and obeying the right laws so that we can stay happier, we can become happier, healthier, wealthier, and experience more love. Brother said, yes, rough week, but I'm here. Yeah, I could sense a rough week from a lot of us. So we're going to talk about that today. But first, let's get just a little bit of morning motivation. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Kevin. Morning motivation. This is called When Life Breaks You.
I don't care how good you are, I don't care how talented you are, I don't care how much you work on yourself. There's some times when things aren't going to go right. There are times when anything that can happen will happen.
Give me a thumbs up if y'all can hear this.
Life happens. The unexpected, the uncalled for, the unintentional. We've been damaged emotional, damaged spiritually.
It may be your business. It may be your heart that is broken today. It may be the number in your bank account that is screaming, you are broke.
You can break physically, you can break mentally, you can break your heart, you can break your spirit, and all of those are going to leave a mark. But the mark that they leave can be the mark of victory or it can be the mark of defeat.
It is staying with the breaking that produces the blessing. It is not what you go through that determines where you end up. It's who you listen to. Because I think right now, you are walking through a valley between two voices. One is wisdom, one is worry. One is gratitude, one is grumbling. One is blame, one is faith.
Because every time you break, and in every way that you break, wow, it's a chance for you to give up and for you to fall apart. But there's also opportunity to get stronger, and get smarter, and get faster, and get tougher, and get more stable, and get more resilient, and get better.
What I need you to do is I need you to find a reason to keep going. And if you can find a reason to keep going, I know you're strong enough to do it because you're human. And every human has what it takes to get past whatever they're going through if they decide to. Push through it. Push through it.
Push through it.
Tragedy and trials
Push through it. Whatever you're going through, push through it.
The fight isn't over. The fight is just beginning. You have the opportunity to show the world what you are really made of.
Show the world what you're really made
Look at that
of.
sickness
You
that's
got
going on in your
this.
life right now, whatever it is. I want you to say, I can beat it. I can beat it. I will beat it. I must. I got a family to live for. I ain't through yet. My life ain't over yet. There's some things in life you don't need no degree for. You don't need no money for it. You don't need no support for it. There's something in life you just gonna get through when you tell yourself, I'm gonna get through this.
Regardless of what happens to your life, regardless of adversity, regardless of opposition, regardless of the trial and tribulation, nothing can stop you. The only thing that can stop you is you. No situation, no circumstance, no piece of adversity can define your life. Never let a circumstance define you.
Welcome.
I'm not retreating. I'm not
Walaikum
running.
salam.
I don't care what they say on paper. I don't care if you say we outnumbered. We live by this and we die by this. We don't retreat. We don't run. We don't stand. We don't live. We don't die.
We don't retreat and we don't run.
And everybody gonna know what we represent and what we're part of. That's
staying power.
Be encouraged today that no matter what you walk through, no matter how broken your marriage is, no matter how many times you fail,
There is within you a spirit that is greater than whatever is going on around you.
There's a spirit greater than whatever is going on around you.
Fight your way through cancer. Fight your way through that academic struggle. Fight your way through divorce. Fight your way through it. If you are willing to fight your way through that stinging career, fight your way through boxing, fight your way through football, I'm telling you, at the end of the fight is going to come victory.
Victory is coming, y'all. Victory is right here. I really felt, Assalamu alaikum everyone, and welcome to the Sajdah Saturday morning coffee talk. When I woke up this morning, I had something in my mind that I wanted to talk about. And as I was praying, I was reminded of another prayer that I prayed years ago. I've prayed this prayer since, but it was a prayer that I prayed years ago that I got an answer that I felt was like the voice of God. And I remember asking him to keep me healthy and to keep me whole and to keep me happy and to allow my wealth and opportunity and choices to grow and expand in infinite ways. And as I meditated on that, what I felt God said to me was, well, there are laws in place. And as long as you abide by those laws, then I will do all of that for you. And so I said, okay, I know he's not necessarily talking about the laws of the land. We're talking about spiritual laws here. How we need to think, what we need to do, how we need to treat our body, how we need to push through to adversity. Because what happens is we break down because we're pushing against a law or some law. Some of us get sick because we're just trying our best to defy that law. We're suffering with disease because our mind is out of alignment. Our food choices are out of alignment. Our lack of movement in our body is out of alignment. First thing we got to do. First law that came to my mind that particular morning, and I wrote this down. After I said that prayer and I heard that voice that said that there are laws in place, and somehow intuitively I knew that he meant spiritual laws. And he said, as long as you abide by them, I will do that. And so the next thing I did was I did a little meditation, and then I went to my Holy Quran and I turned to Surah 28, the narrative, verse 88. And it's interesting because I was at a banquet this week and I was at table 88. And I don't know why that 88 stood out to me. And as I looked around, and it was a really powerful event for me because it was just really a lot of beautiful energy. And I was surrounded with a lot of beautiful energy. But the 88, just kept flashing in my mind. And this morning, when I looked through some old notes, I saw that after that prayer, I had turned to Surah 28:88. So I wanted to just share that with you today because I believe, and man, I thought of this years ago, that part of our biggest problem is that we make gods besides Allah. We are always worshiping something that we give more attention than we do to God. Whether it's our money, whether it's our job, whether it's our relationship, whether it's them cheeseburgers you eating, or the wine you drinking, or the weed you smoking, or the crack pipe you sucking on. something becomes our God, and we forget about the God that is in charge of it all. We go through stuff. We're in pain. Life seems to break us down. And the broken moment becomes bigger than God. The painful moment becomes bigger than God. The disappointment becomes bigger than God. The sadness becomes bigger than God. What we want it so badly that it's bigger than God. And so we struggle. And so anytime we're out of alignment like that, and that wobble gets so wide in our psyche, we get hurt, we get sick. But Allah is so beautiful in that He breaks us open. And He comes to us and He's there when everything else fails. So when I turned to this, I said, we have to stop worshiping gods besides Allah. And we hear that all the time. We see that in the Holy Quran. We know that. We know better. But we do it anyway. Because we're always looking for some form of attachment, some form of physical attachment. Because we really, really don't have a true understanding or a good understanding of God. And that interactive law that exists between us and our Creator that we have to obey. So I turn to this and it says, and call not with Allah any other God. There is no God but He. Everything will perish but He. His is the judgment, and to Him you will be brought back. So even once we are worshiping that drug, that relationship, that job, that money, that sorrow, that situation, wanting to be in pain and getting attention and all the things that we worship, no matter what happens, we'll be brought back to Him. And if we don't come back, then we tend to expire. So when He said to me, there are laws that are in place, and if you follow those laws, I will do that for you. I said, okay. I started devouring everything that I could find. That's even how I got hooked on to learning about the Master Key System. That's the basis of our manifestation series. Literally, I was on Facebook, and a random person I didn't know said, have you read this book? And I said, no. And they said, here's the link. Some dude on the DM. And I got the note, got the link, downloaded the book, and I said, aha. Because what I needed was the breakdown of those laws so I could find the superior knowledge of it in our teachings. Because I was like everybody else, I'm just regurgitating stuff. Take no God besides Allah. But yet, we sitting over here crying because we want something so bad. But yet we say, oh, I believe in Allah with all my heart. There is no God but He. Many of us say that 5 times, 10 times a day. But what is happening in our actions? What is happening in our mind? And that's why I say to you, you got to start by saying, no matter what you're going through, it's possible. It's possible. Don't give that thing more power over you than the possibility that Allah can make it happen for you. He can heal you. He can make you happy. He can make you feel better. He can give you love. He can give you honor. He can give you respect. He can give you any and everything that you want in your life. But you got to not make that thing bigger than Him. Sometimes that thing is your ego. Because that ego, you know, we talk about it on this show. That ego is a nasty thing. Because that ego makes us think, I just got to be special. You know, people will kill somebody because of ego. People will wish death upon somebody because of their ego. They'd rather have a person die than to be wrong. They'd rather see you sick so that they can feel special and have superiority over you. My grandmother used to say these niggas will kill you. And what does she mean by that? And she's not just talking about niggas in that sense or black people. She's talking about, see, I call white people niggas too. Because they made niggas. They the master nigga. Anybody who is living a life that is contrary to the life that Allah has for us, I don't care if you black, white, Indian, you a nigga. And see, this niggardly mindset that wants to be special above all else will put your health at risk so that it can feel superiority and make money. Will lie to you and cause you harm. And if you worship that, you are literally worshiping something or someone that wishes death upon you. Come on, somebody. You are literally worshiping something or someone that wishes death, sickness, and desires your destruction. Why? Not because they care so much about you, not because you're making so much impact, but because they want to be better than you. And if you worship them, then you're joining right in with their prayer, their desire. So you got to be holding on to the firm handle of Allah. You have to have the audacity of hope. You got to know that it's possible no matter what you're going through. I don't care how many tears you shed. I don't care how much pain you're in. I don't care how sad you are. There is nothing that Allah cannot bring you up out of if you believe. See, and when you believe, then your actions start to follow. Your choices start to follow. You start to attract the right life conditions. You start to attract people in your life that touch your soul and have conversations with you that bless you, whose energy and presence blesses you. You start saying, I was going to go down here, but I'm going to go this way. And you go that way and there's an opportunity. There's a new customer, a new client. There's somebody who just smiled at you, made you feel good for that day. Somebody that you saw who was struggling and you decided, my iPad almost fell. Somebody that you saw that was struggling and they motivate you. The right movie will pop up. The right video will pop up. The right conversation will pop up. When you believe at the end of the day that it's possible. You don't have to get so specific. You don't have to know exactly how it's possible, because technically that's not your job. You just got to know that it's possible. And then you want to stay in that frequency of possibility by doing what? By being grateful. Thank you, Allah, for bringing me through this. You might be in the middle of it. You might be on the floor bleeding, crying, hurting, aching. Somebody done died. Somebody done hurt you. Somebody done stole your money. Somebody done left you. You want the cigarette so bad. You want the crack pipe so bad. You want that person so bad. But in that moment, thank Allah for bringing you through it. Thank Him. Thank you for bringing me through this. Thank you. I know right now I'm sitting here and I want this marijuana or this drug so bad, but right now I want to thank you for bringing me through this. I know right now I want to be at the next level in my life. I know right now so bad I want more customers. I want more clients. Thank you for giving that to me. Thank you for letting me know that that's possible. Because one thing I do know, at the end of the day, that you've never forsaken me. See, there's more people out there praying for your demise than you know, because all our egos are out of control. Okay? There's more people out there, but guess what? Allah got you. He's never, ever forsaken you. Y'all know some of us is crazy. We done been up in some stuff. We done been in some shit. And Allah came and scooped us. Some of us should have been dead. Some of us know we don't eat right. We should have been had a heart attack. We should have been had a stroke. We should have been in a diabetic coma. We should have been passed out. But Allah scoops us. He takes care of us. You ever notice sometimes you're driving in a car, somebody about to hit you, and just at that moment, you look up and you swerve. Well, you better be thanking God for that. That's who you worship. That's the energy that you worship. That's the energy that you calibrate yourself to. You get on the phone, when you're talking to people, when you're seeing people, when you're doing things, calibrate yourself to that energy of possibility. See, because you might not be strong enough to say, oh, I know God got me. You might not be strong enough for that. You might not be strong enough to have certainty in his will. But I know you're strong enough to say it's possible. I know you're strong enough to say, all it takes is a wink and a nod from him, and everything I'm looking for, everything I want, will fall right into place with very little effort on my part. Now, this don't mean that we sit around in the house and we're lazy. It don't mean that. It means we work. You must work. We have to put in the work. We have to do the labor. We have to put in the mental work, the spiritual work, the physical work. Yes, we have to do that. But we have to know like we know, like we know. Just like you don't think about whether or not you're going to be able to hear. You don't think about whether or not your heart is going to beat. You don't think about whether or not the blood is going to circulate through your arteries and veins. That's how certain you got to be in the possibility of the God that created you. See, everybody showed up onto the planet for a reason. We're all here for a reason. You got to be certain that you're here for a reason. You might not know exactly what it is. You might not be able to explain it. You may not be able to say, this is exactly what it is. This is why I'm here. This is my purpose. A lot of people who think that they have a purpose, they pick a single purpose, but we serve an infinite God, and you have infinite purposes. You may have a primary purpose. You may have something that you're good at. You may have something that you're better at than other things, but many of us have infinite purposes. If we're a conduit, if we're saying to God, just use me. So whatever you're going through, shift your thinking from, I don't know how I'm going to do this, to, it's possible. I'm going to do this. Thank you, Allah, for allowing me to do this. So whatever you're going through, you're struggling with your business. You're trying to figure out how you're going to pay your bills. You're wondering if whether or not you're going to have to close. You don't know what you're going to do. You got to be saying, it's possible. I know Allah didn't bring me this far to leave me. This I know. I know that. It's possible. And so no matter what you're going through, you got to know it's possible. And you cannot make a God out of that thing that you want. And then some people are probably saying, what does she mean? Let's say it's something, let's say we really are so egotistical and we want what we want. And we're mad at everybody because we can't have what we want. So we seek to destroy other people because we're trying to defend our own inordinate view of ourselves. So we decide, I'm going to hurt somebody. I'm going to do something wrong to somebody. I'm going to lie on somebody. I'm going to tarnish their reputation. I'm going to just tell everybody how I can't stand them. See, You just began to worship whatever it is you want, your little stinking inordinate identity of yourself. You've worshiped that and made that a God beside Allah because you are trying to defy a law. You are disobeying literally a law by saying and by wishing death and destruction on your brother or your sister. See, that's how we start to worship God besides Allah. It's not just things. It's not just saying I'm worshiping food and I know I shouldn't, or I'm worshiping drugs and I know I shouldn't, or I'm worshiping a person or sex or whatever and I know I shouldn't. See, a lot of times we get caught up and we start worshiping our ego. And our ego is bigger than Allah. And we'll do anything to defend that stinking identity of the ego. And that ego is so nasty and so tricky that it just wants to be special. And it does not care who it hurts. All it cares about is staying secret. So it'll construct all the deception and everything so that it can stay behind and be secret and quiet so nobody knows that that's what they're doing. But what that ego will do is make sure. So whenever you see somebody and all you got to do is step back and watch their actions. Listen to them talk. Ego. Ego. See, that's how we get ourselves to the point where we start worshiping gods besides Allah. It starts with our ego. It starts with our ego. We're not considerate. We're not loving. We don't care about nothing or nobody. Why? We care about our ego. We care about how we look in the situation. We edge God out. That's what EGO stands for, according to Dr. Wayne Dyer. Edging God out. So we edge God out and we move something else in that we worship besides him. And then next thing you know, we're all off. We're all discombobulated. We're making mistake after mistake. We're destroying relationships after relationships. We're having less love in our life, less money, less opportunity. Things aren't going right. Our life starts to waste and waste and waste and waste. And every day we can look at it one or two ways. We're either getting older and diminishing, or we're getting newer and newer. See, the way I look at it is, if you're of the God mind, you're getting newer and newer every day. Every day you get newer if you're growing. Every day there's something new. Every day there's something more fascinating to learn, to see, to cherish. Every single day. But see, a lot of us are sitting around here wasting time because we worshiping the ego. And man, that ego makes that time fly fast. Next thing you know, our body's out of shape. We're not healthy. Skin ain't looking good. Choices are bad. People around us, we messing up our family, messing up our children. We don't really care about people around us being successful. So everybody's mediocre, including our family members, children, wife, husband. Everything's just sad, mediocre, because we're not worshiping the God the way we should. And so when he said to me, there are laws in place, and if you follow those laws, I will give you what you're asking for. I said, well, I got to get busy. And the first thing I got to do is make sure I'm not worshiping gods besides Allah. It's the first thing I got to do. Make sure I'm not worshiping gods besides Allah. First thing I got to do. And so that's why I encourage you all to study that verse we read earlier, Surah 28, verse 88. I encourage you all to study that, because we're going to be returned to Allah. He's going to break us open one way or another. It's coming back. And so we have to make absolute certain that we follow these laws. Don't make a God out of what's going on in your life. Don't make a God out of your disease. Don't make a God out of your circumstance. Because if you make a God out of that, you will fight to the death, unbeknownst sometimes even to you, to protect that. Some of us fight to stay sick because our sickness has become our God. And when our sickness becomes our God, we're fighting to stay sick. We're fighting tooth and nail to stay sick, and we don't even know it. How do we do that? How does that happen? We know we're supposed to be eating certain things and we don't do it. We know we're supposed to be getting up and exercising every day, but we don't do it. We know we're supposed to take certain medications, but we don't do it. We know we should be thinking a certain way, but we don't do it. We're talking to everybody who will listen and verbally worshiping the sickness that we have. We literally bring the sickness and make an altar out of the sickness. Well, what in the world do you think is going to happen when you make an altar out of that sickness or out of that thing you're trying to get through? When you begin to identify yourself with suffering, with trauma, what happens? When you think of yourself and you think of that suffering, you think of yourself, what happens? Then you are doing everything you can to support your identity. That's ego. Ego ain't just that you're arrogant. Ego is that you are supporting an identity, an inordinate view of yourself. And you're fighting tooth and nail to support that identity. Whatever you think that identity is. Whatever somebody told you that identity is. You're fighting. And so a lot of times we attach a circumstance to that identity, and we will literally hurt, kill, and destroy somebody to support that identity. That's taking a God besides Allah. It's your identity, your suffering that becomes a God besides Allah. We do it all the time. Your job. Yeah, I love my job. That's everything. Without my job, I can't live. Without my job, I can't do anything. Whatever my job tells me to do. Even if it not within reason, without reason. I'm just there. I'm dedicated. Are you really dedicated? Are you really, really dedicated? Are you really, really, really dedicated? Or are you just showing up every day because it's something to do? Because you're too lazy to come up with something else to do? Are you really dedicated? Are you performing with perfection? Are you worshiping your ego? Are you worshiping the identity that your job gives you? Are you there working to make your job or the organization better? Are you pushing the organization forward? Are you helping the organization to maintain its continuity? Are you making a good work environment for people that you work for and work with? Or are you just going there and showing up every day because you like the title? Because you like who you think you are or who people think you are because of your title or because of your inordinate view of yourself? Are you really, really, really dedicated? See, because change dedication around. Dedication is not so much to do with the time you put into something, although that's important. Dedication is the granular levels of integrity. Dedication is the attention to detail. Dedication is the focus on doing the right thing by the organization. Dedication ain't showing up every day and then coming to work every day and stealing their copy paper. Dedication ain't going to work every day and not answering the phone. Dedication is not paying attention to your customers. Dedication is not letting employees come and bring ideas to you and you just let the ideas die. Dedication is not destroying someone else just so that you can be successful. Dedication is progress. Dedication is newness. Dedication is evolution. Dedication is transformation. That's dedication. That's dedication. I say stealing their copy paper because let me tell y'all this story. I probably shouldn't, but I'm going to tell you anyway. We, at the time, we had 3 clinics in Maryland. We evolved from 3 clinics to 2 clinics and a surgery center, and then the micro hospital. So at this time, it was 3 clinics, and I had come up with this concept to go to the DC Office on Aging to do free screenings and free health fairs. And we used to do them every week because the hospitals wouldn't send us any patients and the insurance companies wouldn't credential us. We eventually got to the point where we end up seeing so many people in these screenings and these health fairs that the insurance companies started begging us to credential with them. And the patients was like, forget what this doctor says, I'm coming to see y'all. So we were able to become industry disruptors through the concept of literally going door to door from a healthcare standpoint. So the DC Office on Aging, DC at one point was voted one of the most senior friendly cities. And so we went to the DC Office on Aging, and what we did was we presented a program where we would go to their wellness centers. And the wellness centers are like recreation centers for seniors. And they have games, they have workout centers, they can work out classes, dance classes, social arts, crafts, all kind of stuff. It's actually a really cool concept. And many of them are really nice. Some of them are attached to retirement homes. Some of them are attached to nursing homes. Through this process, we saved over 30,000 lives and limbs. We did this every single week. We pack up in our cars, I'd have all the supplies, everything in crates, and we would literally go camp out at this wellness center and help people to properly diagnose them. Because many of you don't realize that cardiovascular disease and its risk factors was the pandemic before the pandemic. And we recognized that early on. And what do I mean? What happens is the cardiovascular body of diseases includes diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, being overweight, having a family history, being over the age of 50. These are risk factors. Smoking, about 90% of our patients smoke cigarettes and marijuana. So this body of diseases was causing us to lose over 100,000 people a year before the so-called COVID-19 pandemic. So that was the pandemic before the pandemic, and Allah knew it was going to be the pandemic because he talked to us about it in the problem book. Y'all ain't hear me. He talked to us about breathing problems, not being able to walk up the block. How much air you breathing. If you start unpacking that, you see the roots of the vascular and cardiovascular pandemic that is existing amongst our people. It talks in the lessons about not being able to walk up the block. Well, if you can't walk up the block without stopping, without your legs hurting, in the vascular world, we call that intermittent claudication. Anyway, so copy paper story. So I had gone to the DC Office on Aging. And so what they wanted us to do was to take some seniors and give them job opportunities. And so I hired this one senior sister to work the front desk. And you know, it's funny because one of the things that you learn when you're working with seniors is that many times they come from an era where a lot of things were given to them. So they're used to free stuff, which is a trick in and of itself. Every time I think about free cheese, and why give somebody free cheese? Like, what's in the daggone, what you put in the cheese? What is the cheese chemically the perfect base for that you put something in it? Why cheese? It's just weird. Anyway, they're used to things. They're used to gifts and free things. A lot of them will go to their jobs and they look at their jobs as the office supply place. You could go to most seniors' homes, and if they work somewhere, you'll see ink pens from their job. You'll see paper from their job. You'll see folders from their job. You'll see stuff that they done took from work. And back in the day, these companies were so mammoth, the GMs and the Union Pacifics and the railroads and all of that. They were so mammoth that they were absorbing all of this theft and scope creep and services, and nobody really cared because they made so much money. But now you got seniors who come and work for you as an entrepreneur. See, these is all the things as an entrepreneur that you don't think about, because people come with systemic habits that you got to learn how to handle, because you can't necessarily absorb the systemic habits that people will come to your business with. So in healthcare, people come with certain systemic healthcare habits that we realized we could not afford. Same thing with the seniors. So this woman, whenever I would have supplies delivered, they would come in and I would have somebody at the front desk to check them off. This was before we started. Eventually we started getting so many supplies in. We had to build a dock in the new facility, and there's a dock and there's an inventory person that manages all of that and reconciles everything. Yes, that's right, Calvin Boys. Lesson number 1 and lesson number 2. That's right. But at this time we were small enough where boxes and stuff would just come through the front and they had to check it off. And I started noticing where every week I had to order copy paper. Now, a lot of the healthcare industry, some of it is antiquated, but we don't print that much. We ain't running through paper like that. And I remember this woman, it was the senior lady who was jacking all the copy paper. And so I followed her out to her car one day, and I said, "Ma'am," I said, she had a ream of paper. I saw her put it in her tote bag. And so when she went out to her car, I followed her. And I said, "Ma'am, can I have my copy paper back, please? Please, can I have my copy paper back?" Brother Calvin says, "Sorry, 1 to 20, then 1 to 40. Okay. Can I have my copy paper back?" She said, "What?" I said, I didn't buy copy paper to supply you with copy paper." She said, "Well, my grandbaby about to start school, and I got to get all the paper for her that she needs." I said, "Well, ma'am, you can't get it from here." I said, "I also know you've been stealing and taking other stuff, so you can't." She said, "You petty bitch." I said, "Yeah, I'll be that." But I need to get that copy paper up out of you. So she took the paper up out of her bag, and when she opened the back door to her car, she had about 3 or 4 reams of paper in her car. I just reached in and took them too and went back in. I said, "Oh, and by the way, you're fired." So that's the copy paper story. So everybody in the office thought that was so funny. It was like, "Well, I can't believe you chased that lady down over the copy paper." I said, "It's the principle. You over here, you ain't doing nothing anyway. You a time thief. You sitting here at the front desk just chilling, drinking coffee. Got to take a break every 30 minutes. Yeah, she called me petty. A petty bee is what she called me. I said, "I'll be that." I said, you over here, you stealing time anyway. Then you got the nerve to take my copy paper? Come on, lady. Come on now. So anyway, that's the copy paper story. But the point of the matter is, on a larger scale, we are doing that in our businesses. We get a job and we really just sitting there, and we're really a thief. We a time thief. We gossiping. We always got something to do, got something to say. but we ain't really dedicated. You just like the fact that you got a title. You just like the fact that somebody thinks something of you because you work here. Girl, you know, my mama worked down to the manufacturing plant. Yeah, I work down to the manufacturing plant. So that becomes a big thing. Or, oh, I'm the president of this organization. I'm the treasurer of the national such and such, such and such. But you ain't doing nothing. See, stop worshiping gods beside Allah. That's why Allah said to me, there are laws in place. And if you follow them, I will give you what you're asking for. I was asking him for health, wealth, money, good homes, and friendships in all walks of life. And I heard that voice. And this was years ago. So I started the process at that point of studying laws. What does my mind need to be? And I started studying how we conduct ourselves at work like slaves. Let me just go and sit here and be a butt in the seat and collect a check. And then if somebody don't give you a check for putting your butt in the seat, you ready to fight. You ready to file a lawsuit. You finding ways to cut corners. Oh, we ain't got to do that. I don't know what Miss Wendy talking about, but that ain't necessary. I worked at Johns Hopkins. We didn't do that up there. You really are just fake and phony. And that's why we can't have the things that we want. That's why we're not as successful as we should be. Some of us enjoy moderate success. But you should be wildly successful. What's holding us back is taking gods besides Allah. So I started this talk off saying to you that no matter what you're going through, no matter what you're feeling like right now, no matter what you're struggling with, no matter what, it's possible. And so keep that in your mind. Don't entertain doubt. Don't take one step forward with your affirmations and then 2 steps backwards with your doubt. Don't do that. Don't take 1 step forward with your prayers and 10 steps back with your ego by worshiping your ego. Don't take 1 step forward by doing good deeds and 100 steps back by wishing destruction and death and negativity on somebody because they threaten your ego and your identity of yourself. Don't worship the problem. Don't worship what you're going through. Don't worship the pain. Don't worship the struggle. Don't worship the hunger. Don't worship being tired. Focus on what you want. Don't worship the conditions or the adverse conditions that you don't want. All right, so that was somebody's word today because I had something else prepared. Listen, do me a favor, family. Support the renovation and restoration of the former home of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We got these beautiful commemorative Elijah coins that are for sale at sajdahouse.com. We have some beautiful pendants that we made out of the coins, and they're there as well. This is copper from the messenger's home. So if you haven't purchased one, then make sure you get one. This number, this registration number on the back, spoiler alert, is going to be important and critical when we launch the NFTs for the house. This is going to give you special access, special levels of membership. So get your coin. It's going to help you. Membership has its privileges. All right. Peace and blessings, family. Thank you all who have been coming on to the manifestation series. We've been doing every Thursday at 7. You can go to my YouTube page. It's the Sajdah Wendy Muhammad YouTube page. You can binge on all the shows. The Mo Today series on Black Muslim businesses. You can binge on the Sajdah Saturday Morning Coffee Talks. You can binge on the manifestation series. There's also a link in my bio here where if you want to binge on my past radio shows. I've been doing the Mind of an Entrepreneur radio show since 2009. Can you believe that? 2009. There's old shows that are out there. I even think there's still some on Blog Talk Radio. But those shows, I like those shows because, oftentimes when go through these things and we think I'm going to teach on something. It's for us. It's really Allah giving us a message. So, okay. So peace and love to everyone. Thank you all for joining. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Go binge. Make sure you like and subscribe to the YouTube page. We're trying to get up to at least 400 subscribers so we can start monetizing the page. And I know my stuff is tough. I know a lot of people like motivation and stuff, but I'm not a motivational teacher. Some of the stuff that I give you all to study and to learn is tough stuff. It's hard because it means that you got to go inside of yourself. And sometimes it's not that easy to return to that space where we realize that we were off base, where we realize that we were separate from our real purpose in life. When we put that mirror up to ourselves, sometimes it can be super ugly. And so I know a lot of times it's hard, but you got to do it and you got to face it. And it only becomes ugly when you've worshiped it. So let's do it, y'all. Let's do it, family. Happy Saturday. If you have not worked out today, if you have not moved today, get up and move. Do some jumping jacks, do some squats, go for a walk, ride a bike, whatever it is that you need to do, but make sure you're moving today and make sure you eat right. Check your dietary choices in the door and keep guard over your mind. So peace and blessings, family. Get your coin, and inshallah, I will see you all. Oh, wait, I have something tomorrow. I'm on WHID radio at 7 p.m. The flyer is in the IG post. It's WHID radio. I'm on there with Sister Mariam Muhammad. It's tomorrow at 7 p.m. I think it's Central Time. Check the flyer. I'll repost it right before I post this so you can go back and listen again. All right. Peace and blessings, family. Love you all.